Mosley, what are we talking about?
Hi, we are going to demonstrate matting things with pre-cut mats of a couple different shapes and sizes and types. We're going to talk about some also other alternatives in case you don't have a mat cutter at all. So here we go. First we are going to talk about the obvious. You can go buy frames at Walmart or the dollar store and just put the art in it. Glass protected frame. The only thing about that you need to keep in mind and prepare for is that the hooks in the back are often made for a small nail, and we're using pegboard hooks at the show. So you'll have to fashion some kind of a wire hanger or some kind of way to make the pegboard hooks be able to hold the frame up. So for this one, I just drilled holes in the little hardboard backing, wrapped a wire around it, twisted it. It's fine. Any hanger can work on this one now. So, purchased frames, or you can get them donated by people with their old family photos that they don't need anymore, yard sales,
Yep.
anything. So, frames.
Salvation Army, Goodwill, all of those are great places. So the other place, so let's say you're not going to go with frames, you don't have your own mat cutter, but you tend to work in standard sizes for your students, so 9 by 12, 12 by 18, those sorts of things. You can get pre-cut mats. So this one's pre-cut in
8 by 10.
8 by 10, which can work for a 12 by 9 sheet as long as you're generally centering it. They make slightly larger ones. Just make sure you know the inner diameter and the outer diameter when you're buying it. So you're going to mat this the same way. I kind of like to center it and get an idea of how I want it first. Flip it. Either measure, sometimes I'll measure and make little marks on the inside of the frame to get it perfect. Or I'll eyeball it and put 2 little pieces either corner and then flip it to make sure it's correct. Because I have astigmatism, so eyeballing is not always a great choice.
There we go.
But
that works. We did not cut off his head.
nope, he's going to look just fine. So now we actually tape all the way around the back, just like we did in our video with Miss Mosley's head.
Now we get Packers.
Yay, Packers.
Go, Pack, go.
For someone from California, you support an oddly frigid football team.
It's the cheese. And it's the people's team.
It is owned by the
You
town of
could-
Green Bay.
No, you can buy stock in the Packers. So
Yep.
I could own a section of the Packers.
That's
I want to.
All right, so we double check again. He looks lovely. Now we need to put the backing on him. You definitely want a backing sheet. Why do we want a backing sheet?
Should we try the hinge?
Yeah, let's do the hinge. The reason you do a backing sheet is so that should the worst happen, someone's not going to stick their hand through your artwork.
Okay, tell about your hinge.
So the way I do a hinge is I just lay.
Do you want that?
It'll be fine. I just lay the mat and the backing sheet next to each other, line them up. Try not to tape my finger to the artwork.
Top side's touching.
Yep, top side's touching, and then I just run tape along that hinge half and half, or along that place where they meet half and half.
And this time we use duct tape. You could use quite a few kinds of tape for this one.
Duct tape's nice, it's flexible, and it doesn't tend to get super brittle like masking tape can. If your kids are going to keep these in those mats, duct tape's great. If you're not going to keep them in the mat, masking tape is nice because it comes off and it doesn't cause problems. Now, you're going to hang it from the top. So you could conceivably leave it open on the bottom, but that looks kind of cheap and cheesy. So you can use the adhesive transfer tape, or you can make little pillows with masking tape and that'll work too.
So I'm just going to apply enough that it'll stick. It doesn't need to be fully sealed.
No, and that's why I said you can roll masking tape for the corners. That sometimes works too.
So this, if
I've
you
done
didn't
that.
watch our other video, is a kind of a wax paper with adhesive in between each layer. This is what it actually is. It's got adhesive transfer tape. It's like glue between wax paper, and it just transfers on nice, flat, smooth adhesive that works great.
And where do you find that if you were looking to procure it?
It's on the internet. Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure you can get it at other art and office supply stores.
he's looking lovely. Where do we hang our
So he's just a small small guy, it's an 8x10, so we're probably safe with just one. If you had a heavier piece, it doesn't hurt to do two. With these really nice, they have almost like a foam adhesive. They're very sticky, heavy duty plastic hangers. I would say that one is fine on this. If you got a little bit cheaper quality ones, maybe do two and support it. Are we along the edge? 14, 7 and 7 is 14. And so in this one, we use the yardstick. So that width is between 1.5 inches and 2 inches, depending on the yardsticks you usually have, as the guide for how low to hang this. So then your hook and the pegboard hook are both hidden by the artwork, so you're not seeing your hanging apparatus, just the work. Some people we've noticed have put their hooks way up here, and then visually you just see all this hanging stuff, and it's just a little less clean. So this is just a little bit cleaner version. A lot of pressure, push it on, flip the tab up just a little bit so it'll hook easily, and then your state art tag will go somewhere about here, hanging from below.
That's good. All right.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Let's do the bigger version.
So another Precut mat that exists, they have one side already attached. So it's kind of built in where you just slide, stick, and go. So that's what I have for this one.
These are great and work a lot as reusable mats. So
Yes.
if you're not a district that can afford to be buying mats every single year, you can buy them every other, every third, and reuse.
Right. So you just slide your work in. It kind of attacks and holds just a little bit anyway, but you absolutely want to reinforce that because it will just slide out over the course of being hung over the shelf. So it's in, but it's time to reinforce. So the bottom edge under the mat, as long as you know how much leeway you have, you could do tape, or you could do the double stick tape on the underside.
Would you hold the flat? I would be happy to hold the flat.
So in this case, I'm just gonna do this. It'll be hidden. I lost it. These do have little application guns. I don't like them. I prefer just to go this way and peel that off. And so that will stick this
Make sure it's lined up again
That's true.
before you stick it down.
a little lower
Yeah, it was diagonal.
and a little bit this way. That looks good. So then some pressure, stick it in there. Now the piece is being held, you can still reinforce that more. If you feel like it still has any kind of slide, go ahead and continue to reinforce it.
Sometimes you'll see gapping too on the edges if your piece is curled a little bit, and that's going to be a place where you want to adhere the back to the mat or adhere the piece to either the front of the mat or the rear.
You can also just use masking tape on your edges. I know that this border will be hidden, so I could go here.
And now when we lay it down,
That side is a
there's
lot
no
flatter.
gapping here like there is over here.
Right. So once you get it satisfactorily held down, then you want to keep the mat from also flapping. And you should definitely have your students help with this process so they also have that skill of learning how to professionally show their work. I think that's a good skill for them to have if they're being artists. So the ways in which you can hold this down, a couple dots of hot glue, press it. You can use this stuff again. It works great. I'm just a fan of this stuff.
If you have the white ticky tack or the sticky wax, it works well too.
So then just a pass of adhesive along the bottom. We'll keep it from flapping. So, quickly matted piece. Your students are totally going to be able to do that on their own, maybe with a little bit of demonstration so you don't have to, or if you want to be the one to do it, that's great too. Again, these guys, We're gonna put links for these because we definitely believe in them. Hanging them. This is gonna be a 2-piece one. It's not too heavy, but it is a larger format. So picking 2 is gonna keep it from falling. It distributes the weight a little bit better.
So I'd say let's put it just
3
that
inches
time at
in.
3. Some edge lined up with the 3.
That's exactly where I was going.
Oh, look, great minds.
Wow, cool. So I guess it is intuitive.
Pressure. It's all about pressure.
Yep. If you don't feel like you have the finger strength, find a tool.
Yep. I'm teaching pottery this quarter. I have finger strength.
You have finger strength? Okay. Us delicate photographer people. You know.
Yeah. Don't forget to fold it back so that it can catch the hook for the pegboard.
And watch, I did this correctly.
Yeah. Correct side up and
And
everything.
all is well. Stable, sturdy. It'll stay up for the duration of the show. Okay, so next, we're gonna do canvas boards for the painters. And we have them in all shapes and sizes to give you some different examples. This one's just a small 8x10. One. You just need one. It's not heavy, there's no real weight to it. We're gonna stick the one to the back just as we've done with everything else.
And honestly, lining up your wider yardstick at the top really helps because it helps you find the center and it gives you that that space so you know it's going to be lower. It's not going to stick out the top.
Yep. Lots of pressure. Definitely, if you have kids doing oil paint, you probably want to put this on before they start their painting or have a few months for it to dry.
True.
Think about that when you're doing. Plan ahead. So that one, single hanging hook. Your state art tag will go here. Also
Good. So these bigger ones you're probably going to be doing 2. And these are, what are these measurements?
I think these are about 11 by 14. 12 by 14?
12 by 16 is my bet. Yep, 12 by
Okay,
16.
12 by 16.
So you're going to want to do 2. They're a little bit heavier. And you just want that stability. You want to know that it's going to hang, well, for the whole of the show. Now, if for some reason you're not sure, it's heavy, you're not sure if it needs 2 or 3, there's nothing wrong if you have the time ahead of time to hang it or to mount it and hang it in your art room and just wait. If it falls off the wall in 2 days, that means you needed another hook. And it's better that it does that in your art room than at the art show.
True. And we have some ways and tricks to make these even more adhesive than they already are for the heavier pieces. So this one was portrait. I did them 2 inches from the edge and about 2 inches down. It'll hide the hooks and it'll just give them kind of an even hanging situation. So that one is good.
I'm doing the same thing. So since I'm at, let's see, 2 from the edge, 1, 2. Look, I can do math. There's a reason I do not teach math. Okay, so if you have one like this and you've got 2, you're probably good and you probably don't need to add tape. But for a bigger canvas board like this puppy,
This one's 18 by 24.
he's a little heavier. Also, definitely has a thicker application of paint, so that's going to add to the weight too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to want to use 2, and then you're going to want to reinforce with your favorite aggressive tape. Yes. Duct tape.
So first we will apply them. With this being a larger, I'm going to move 3 inches in.
And she's going to move
On each
lower on
side.
the piece as well, which will help it hang straight.
So that's the first application, and it's important to do the pressure, especially on these heavy ones. And then for this one, I do feel the need to reinforce it. Like it's fine right now, it could delaminate and fall. So we have lots of options. Duct tape is okay. It helps, it's better than nothing.
It's better, the better band of duct tape you get, the longer it's going to
Right.
stick.
Gorilla tape, amazing. Definitely that's my recommendation for a canvas board that's this size or about this kind of a weight of a project. Gorilla tape is definitely the move, and I try to make it about 6 inches So I have that 3 on this side and 3 on this side, and I'll do it again. You want to stick it?
I'll stick it.
Okay. And then the other option is these 2-part epoxies or some really aggressive glues. Low temp hot glue gun is not the move. If you have more of a high quality, high temp hot glue, that could be helpful, but I do think that these epoxies are better. You can get them all different brands from your hardware stores. You mix them up, the 2 parts, and then I like to spread them in, around, and on as I attach this to the canvas board. So that's another added layer of security. So when you're doing the Gorilla Tape on this, you're making sure that you're not putting it on the flapped part where the hook is, but just on the adhesive part to where it will stick to the back of the canvas better and not be compromised when we fold back. So to explain that, I'll bend these way back. The tape is below the bends on this. This should last you for the whole show, and you should be fine. We have other options of things that we're going to show you shortly, but I think that's it for matting pre-cut. If you have, just for more hanging hook information, this one's not that heavy. It's just paper, it's a sketch, but it's broad and wide. And these like to kind of bow in the middle. So this one would be probably a 3-hook one. And so when you flipped it around, I would do 3. 1, 2, 3. And it's a little harder to line up on the pegboard, but if you kind of plan a little bit ahead, you should be fine with that as well.
Well, and one of this length, if it's hanging crooked, you're going to notice. So
Absolutely.
this is one of those where 3 is going to help you out in the long run.
True. Okay.
So
I think that's it for this one, right?
Yeah.
Or do we have another thing to do?
We're going to talk about how to do canvases next.
Yep.
And odd, non-standard sort of 2D pieces.
Perfect.